Get out the freaking way. I'm not going to forgive you if you don't move. Just if you're going to sit out of the seat where I'm supposed to sit. Gosh. Gee whiz. What's going on, everybody? You know what? You just don't belong. You just don't belong. I don't forgive you either. What's up, guys? Holy moly. If there ever has been a more true statement than that, I don't know what to tell you. What's going on to the community? Freaking Light doesn't want to listen to me, huh? You know, you got your own mind, but you're not supposed to do that. All right, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I've got an important topic for us today. And hope you're having a good Sunday. So I made a video probably back in 2021, so a long time ago. And what's up, everybody? I made a video about forgiveness, and at the time, it was very new to me. What up, big dog? What it do, big dog? What's up, everybody? So back then, I was freshly trying to forgive. And I think forgiveness is a big deal for everybody. If you've ever been through anything hard, you have to come to a place of, am I going to forgive this? Can I forgive this? People say that I can't forgive this. I'll never forgive this. So I kind of wanted to bring that up today. First of all, what I want to do, besides say hello to everybody, is define forgiveness. So watch this. Watch what I do here. Psychology Today has got us on this channel, man. We're not even sponsored, but pretty much. Zoom in, baby. All right. Forgiveness is the release of resentment or anger. Okay? Stop right there. Forgiveness is not about the person that did the thing. Forgiveness is the release of resentment or anger. For you, preach to the choir, baby. Hit them one time with the choir. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. One doesn't have to return to the same relationship or accept the same harmful behaviors from an offender, someone who hurt you. Forgiveness is vitally important for mental health for those who have been victimized. It propels people forward rather than keeping them emotionally engaged in injustice or trauma. It's a cycle. Forgiveness is about you. It's not about the other person being rid of everything else. We'll get to that after this. Forgiveness has been shown to elevate mood, enhance optimism, and guard against anger, stress, anxiety, and depression. Bingo. Bingo was his name, oh baby. Forgiveness is not about the person that upset you or hurt you just getting away with whatever they did. It has nothing to do with that. It actually has everything to do with you. And what I see a lot of times is people say that, like, I'm sorry, Colby, I couldn't forgive Lori, and she's not even my mom. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. I'm not here to really argue on what's forgivable, what's not. I'm just going to say how it is for me. I held on so much anger, hurt, betrayal, frustration. And I spent so much time in that place that I never was moving on. So part of that whole, you've got to start taking steps forward in your life, really was about letting go. Crazy. It's not, it sounds like it's not complicated, but realistically it is. I remember watching, I forgot what the name of it is. I want to say it's called The Son of God. It's the movie about Jesus. It's one of them. And in the moment that I remember where I first thought that is two things, right? I'd never seen The Chosen, but there's one clip that was going viral when it first came out. And that clip plus this movie. So let me start with the movie. The movie, Jesus is getting crucified and he says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." I was like, okay, like that just hit me in a different way for the first time. I knew the story. I'd seen the movie. Nothing was new about this. So why did that matter to me so much? I don't know. It just hit me in that way because I was holding on to resentment. And the same thing was the clip of The Chosen was specifically about him saying that justice is for God, that we spend all this time trying to create justice. Not that we shouldn't have a justice system, but we feel that way. Like we feel the injustice. We want something to be done about it. And so I had this really big complex of just anger. Like I said it in my call. I was like, if I could see Chad, I'm hitting him with a shovel is what I said, or something like that. Like I had a lot of anger, and that's rightfully so, because in that scenario, you're hurt, you're every emotion you could possibly feel at one time. So this is a great question, Mary, and let me answer it the best way I know how. The way that I view this stuff now is we have an idea of what we think is right, wrong, and we have a morality, but so does God. The thing with God is that he's so above our understanding, we can't comprehend how he deals with things. The point that we have to get to is that some things are not our burden to carry on through our entire lives. There's so many people who are holding and harboring unforgiveness towards others. Again, because you think I could never get over what you did, that statement is automatically putting you in a place where you are unable to move on yourself. That's the point. We're not talking about the person being freed from prison if they were, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not giving them the pass. It has nothing to really do with the other person. It has everything to do with you. So that's the biggest point that I would say. But with God, it's a whole nother level because he understands things we don't. Do you ever think you're forgiven and then find yourself getting angry at it again? You know what? That's a great question. And the truth is 100%. You guys have seen me on this channel. So again, I said this in 2020. When I watched the trials, all my anger bubbled up. I was like, F all of these people, F them hard. Like, throw them in the furnace. Like, I couldn't, I was like, these people need to have the worst thing you can do it to these people. Like, they're the sickest, nastiest, despicable human beings that have ever, I don't know, in that category. They're in that level. Like, the stuff they were talking about, the way that they dehumanized humans and the way they moved and how excited they were to get married and how excited they were to spend that money without an ounce of regret or any kind of consciousness. I was like, you need it. You need that. You need a little smack, and I'll be your provider, baby. You call me up, baby. I'm Verizon with it. I'm telling you, I was pissed. I was so mad at them all over again. I'd already forgiven Lori with what I had at the time in 21, which was pretty much just the base of information. It wasn't detailed like it was later. And so I had to go back. I had to go back and say, okay, you said you forgive him. Obviously you don't. So is that statement not true? Or are you a human being who's struggling with what every human being probably feels, which is this stuff hurts. This is not just because you say I forgive. I don't think that personally means, oh, I'm everything's done. That's it. It's released. It just means I think it's a process. It's letting your fingers go. Let the thing go as much as you can. Take that time to put energy back into your life. And the unforgiveness that we hold towards anybody really does constantly affect you, whether you know it or not. And this is why I think it's important to talk about this, because it also I think it affects your physical health. Your body in a stressed mode, it's producing cortisol. You're not getting the sleep you need. You start ticking down the line. Yeah, you're starting to fall apart because your mental state is so shaken. So you have to see it for what it really is. So in this whole thing for forgiveness, I like when someone else says it because it helps me, I don't know, whatever. But right here, how to forgive someone. Forgiveness can be challenging, especially when the offending party, either as an insecure apology or nothing at all, or insincere apology or nothing at all. However, it's often the healthiest path forward. A prominent model put forth by the psychologist Robert Earnwright, where I lost my spot. The first is to uncover the anger. So that's what, first of all, let's start with that. When you're unforgiving of somebody, you're angry. That's where I was. I don't even know how to express the level of anger that I had. The betrayal wasn't even the worst part. It was what they did and how they went about their business to me. It was the most disrespectful, hurtful way you could have moved that whole time. Like, take everybody's life, go to Hawaii, go right where we all lived as a family, and dance around. Am I allowed to cuss in a video where I'm talking about forgiveness? I'm going to try not to. To go dance around and just blow money and just have a life, like just living the highest part of your life, knowing that there's kids in the ground, that you left a wake of destruction, and then you take your butts to Kauai and you're having the time of your life. That alone is enough to be like, yep, you'll get yours. That's just kind of how it is. Like, you'll get it one day, and I don't know how it's going to come, but you're going to get it. Sounds gross, but you know what I mean? Like it's hard to stomach that. So yeah, I had a lot of up and down with the forgiveness. That's the hardest thing to do, is let stuff like that that's so deeply hurtful and so impactful. But how do you do that? I'm going to read what it says here, but I'm going to give you my personal advice. The first thing you do is you have to just acknowledge it. Like it's an elephant in the room. So just acknowledge it. It's there. It's hurting you, and it's not going away. You can do whatever you want, drown it out, watch TV, watch whatever you want to do whatever you want to do. It's not going to stop it. It's an elephant. It's too big to be ignored. And so therefore you can't just move about like it's not a big deal. And so there, I think it's like, all right, look at it in the eyes and say, this just is what it is. And it sucks. And I hate it. And I can't believe this happened, but it happened. And it's just an acceptance. Everything after that is going to be an array of emotions. You know what I mean? You're going to feel anger again. You're going to feel hurt again, especially if it's coming up repeatedly. Like during those trials, again, it's being brought up. It's fresh information, even though it's old news, fresh information coming out in these documents, the text, all the stuff, it's fresh. And so it's new to me. So I'm getting re-angry because a lot of new stuff is coming out. And so that's my point. It was like, I really looked at myself and said, I'm going to allow myself to be upset. And that's why I went off. You guys heard it. I mean, I went crazy when I was doing the channel. I was cussing more than probably I had since I was a teenager. And I had just kind of let myself have a little bit of a leash to just be angry and be upset. And obviously I try my best I pride myself on the fact that I can control my reactions. And the most important thing that I can do is be a good example for my kids and be a good example for just other people in general, and not put people in positions of having to hear profanity at a high level like that. But I allowed myself to be angry, and I was. What that allowed me to do, though, is not hold it in. See, that's a difference. The forgiveness is really, you're just holding on to so much. And all forgiveness means is I'm going to start to let this go. This is a process, and it's a weight off your shoulders. Gosh, I wish people understood how important this part is like you are trying to get better. This is part of you getting better. That is it. It is about you. It's a you focus. It's a you focus, not a them focus. The second is to make the decision to forgive by acknowledging that ignoring or coping with the offense hasn't worked, and therefore forgiveness might provide a path forward. Thanks, Psychology Today, for the dunk off the lob. Third, cultivate forgiveness by developing compassion for the offender. Reflect on whether the act is due to malicious intent or circumstances in the offender's life. Lastly, release the harmful emotions and reflect on how you may have grown from the experience and the act of forgiveness itself. That is the hardest part, if you want the truth. The hardest part is to find any kind of humanity inside of a bad situation. How do you humanize a person who dehumanized and killed your family? How do you find any shred of humanity towards? How do you do that? How do you look at that situation in its light and see what it is and say, yeah, I'm going to still forgive you for that? And the truth is, two things can be true at the same time. It's unimaginable. And from our perspective, you can't forgive it. But from God's perspective, it's very different. And so that's why I think you have to find out, first of all, what you believe and think. You have to solidify how you're going to go about this. But even if you're not faith-filled, I'm just going to say, even if you don't have a belief in God or Jesus or anything, what are you going to do with that resentment? It's going to eat away at you for the rest of your life. I promise you. I hate to be the one to have to be the blunt person, but it doesn't go away with time. This is like losing an arm. This is like some of these things that happen in your life are life-changing trauma. Like you can't go back to normal or whatever you were before. You are now a new thing. It's like the kintsugi thing that this whole entire channel and the podcast was built off of. When something breaks, the art of kintsugi is putting it back together, but with the gold lining, so as if it's better than the first time. But you're not the same. You're not a whole piece anymore. You're not a vase anymore. You're a broken vase that got re-put back together. And so the reality is, people want to go around the healing part, but that's not how this works. It's just, I trust me, I tried to ignore it after that. I was done with it. I watched the documentary and I said, yeah, F this. I'm done with this. I never want to talk about this again in my life. I'm moving on. I'm never going to even acknowledge it. I'm going to ignore my mom's trial. I'm going to just focus on my life, and I never need to speak about this again. This is just going to happen. And that's just, it's out of my mind, out of sight. I'm not even going to participate. And then I went up to testify and I still felt the same way. That's it. I just wanted out. I didn't want anything to do with it. That did me no service. None. The anger still existed. The hurt existed. The betrayal existed. The trauma existed. Okay. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm good for the rest of my life. I'm going to play in a role. I'm just going to act like, yeah, it happened. No, because I hadn't even acknowledged it. There's no acknowledgement in that. That's just ignoring. That's just pretending that it didn't happen. And again, it's okay to acknowledge something that hurt you that bad. It's okay. And it's just, it doesn't make it worse. It doesn't make it worse to acknowledge it. It's if anything, it's the first step towards your healing. And the fact is, forgiveness is not about the most heinous of crimes. Forgiveness goes for anything that is hurt or somebody doing something. And again, I like what it just said, understanding their intention. Was it malicious intention? And even if it was, can you let it go so you can move on? And I spend so much time with people who have been through so much stuff with their mom or their dad or, whatever, spouse, whatever it is. And they've been hurt. There's a hurt there. And the problem is that the hurt can't be taken back. It can't. There's nothing you can do to change that. If something happened and it hurt someone, there's no going back in time and freaking time stoning and reversing backwards. So what are you going to do with it? You have to acknowledge it. And if you can talk about it with someone, that'd be great. That'd be great to have a conversation and say, this really hurt me. And you talk it out with that person. And hopefully there's enough understanding on both sides. But other than that, that's all you have is basically reconciliation if you can. And if no reconciliation, then reconcile for yourself because they might not even acknowledge it. My mom couldn't give two shoots what she did to my family. When I talked to her, I didn't get a shred of empathy, a shred of understanding, and I got gaslit into another realm. And I tell you that because that's my point. I've had it at the worst, highest level. And so I tell other people, do I need Lori to apologize to forgive her? Do you think that that's a way do you think I'm ever going to get that apology? We could both live for a very, very long time. And I'm never going to hear her come to me and say, Colby, everything I did was wrong. Everything that I did to your family, our family was wrong, to your siblings, to your dad. I was wrong. Do you think that's ever going to happen? No. Okay, so now what are my options? I can be pissed forever and never let it go and be a bitter, angry, flipping people off every time they drive by kind of thing. Just always holding an anger, resentment. When I see people who are like that, my first thought is always they're dealing with internal issues. They're going through something because happiness is a euphoric thing a lot of times, and it's kind of circumstantial, this and that. But people who really just try to find not happiness, but like a balance in their life, they usually don't feel that way. People who are doing okay aren't trying to do other things to other people because they're fine. They're happy. People who are always have had something happen. And again, I want to apply this back to something. And I want to say this because it took me, I don't know. Well, I'm 30. So it took me as long as I've been able to be conscious enough to think. Forgiveness also applies to you. You have to learn how to let it go. It feels like it's impossible, but that is the same concept because you cannot change things. And if you hold on to it for the rest of your life, you are truly digging yourself in a hole that you can't get out of because you are blaming yourself instead of trying to take a lesson and move forward. And I had the same problem. Every little thing I did, I felt so bad I couldn't let it go. Like even a mistake, I just couldn't let anything go. And I thought that the punishment for doing that thing was feeling bad. Okay, so you have to feel bad to do this thing. Like that's your punishment. That's the just punishment. I don't think people understand moving forward in your life is not ignoring your past, but it's also not just living in your past. Like that stuff did happen and it sucked and it ruined your life at the time and it changed your life forever and nothing's ever going to be the same, but your heart's beating today. So if your heart's beating right now, that means you have a purpose on this earth and we got to at some point we got to drop the baggage, drop the trailer and keep going because that's all life is. That's all you've got. What other options are there? Stop and just wait to die. That is literally your two options. It's either you keep going down the road or you stop and give up. And that is the point. There is no, you can go slow, but that means you're going. That doesn't matter what pace you're at. It just means you have to choose what you're going to do. And the problem I see the most of the time is that you have a valid reason to have unforgiveness. You do. I get it. Someone hurt you. Something happened and it broke your soul. I get that. But the forgiveness doesn't mean, oh, well, that's fine. Let me just patch the wall and put pink putty on it that's going to turn white and everything's going to be fine. We'll repaint. It's going to go away. No, it just acknowledges, you let it go and you move on. That's a process though. That doesn't mean it drops. Oh, I'm good. Light as a feather. You might feel that way at first, but if it comes back up, that's where forgiveness becomes a thing. When it comes back up, I can re-forgive because I'm not going to take the burden on. I'm not going to put the trailer back on. I'm not hooking myself up to that trauma. I'm going to take steps forward to make my life better because that isn't serving me anything but disturbing my peace. You hear people say this all the time. Oh, I don't want my peace disturbed, this and that. I totally get that. Some people, I think, take it, like I said in the last video, a little too far and make everything about their peace and everything's about them. That's the wrong way to go about that. But your peace is important. And it should be a priority to you because it's part of your mental health. And part of that piece is you're sitting at home unable, you don't realize that all of these other parts of your life are being affected by something else. People have so much trauma from their past and they stay there and their whole life is a reflection. How many people do you know? Let's all, like, we can all be honest about it. How many people have had really bad childhood trauma and they are a product of their childhood trauma? Probably most of us, because your childhood really shapes who you are, your identity, your character, your view of life, how people act, everything. Your parents are a huge part of that, or the people around you and what you experience. The reality is, though, you deserve to heal from those things as well. So if you've had a really hard life, it shouldn't be the product of your next. So let's say you take the first 18 years of your life. What are you going to do with the next 50 to 60, 70 years of your life? What are you going to do with it? You're just going to be a product of the past forever. That's what I mean, is that this stuff is not simple, dry, and cut easy. But if you're willing to understand the process and you can understand that it just is a choice to start to let it go and that it's not your job to hold on to it and that it's not doing you any service and that being a victim is not going to make you feel better. But the truth is, you were a victim. You're still having to suffer with the consequences of somebody else's actions. That doesn't change. What changes is I'm going to do my best to be the best version of myself. What does that look like? And guess what? The best version of you is not carrying that trailer. The best version of you is not sitting there grabbing that backpack. If you could tell yourself, what's my ideal life? You would be free. That's what everybody says. What does everybody really want? Like when you talk to most people, they'll say, I'd love to have money because what does money give you? Freedom. That's it. That's the difference. All money does is allow you to have freedom to make decisions. That's so funny. Like, it's just crazy that that's really what people want is freedom. But you're a slave to your circumstances – the more you keep choosing to not be a forgiving person. And that's the hardest part about life is learning how to forgive. Again, the first step is just acknowledgement. And then from that point, you just say to yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like this is just holding me back. This is ruining my life. And I am just becoming a bitter person. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know how else to say it to people because I care so much about people. Yeah, you're right. I know that. That's a great point. But you get my reasoning is that people think that this grass is always greener. We are just like ingrained to believe that the grass is greener somewhere else. Where unless you're in Arizona and you take your ass to like Kansas or something or Montana where it's gorgeous and the grass is literally greener, there's no such thing in real life. Like there's better circumstances, 100%, not even questioning that. But this idea that escaping reality to go to a different reality is going to change anything, it's not. Your life is your life. You are who you are. You can do anything you want. You ever seen the movie Face Off? You could get a new face. You can do new hair, get new whatever you want, install it, 2.0 it. I don't care. It's not a judgment for me. It's not going to change who you are. So until you start messing with that part of your life and doing the surgery that needs to be done emotionally on yourself, it just is going to bog you down for the rest of your life. And that is what I learned. And it was a hard lesson because how do you really move on from this stuff? It's a process. And when you comes up, you have to go back and it might happen 100 times more from now. I might have to say, okay, today I choose to forgive. I'm going to keep moving on. I'm going to keep living my life. And I'm not going to let someone else dictate what I think and feel and how my day is going to move. And I'm going to give the best of myself today because all I have is right now. There's no guarantee for tomorrow. So I'm just going to do what I can today. That is all I have to offer the world anyway. Other than that, you're really living with this weight. And that weight keeps piling on because life doesn't really get that much easier. It's not like life just one day is like, oh, well, you finally hit this mark. You're good. You're better now. It's like, no, it takes so much time to even feel halfway better. And I think that's the hard part to tell people is that when you're in a hard place and it's like, hey, it's going to be harder, it might get harder for you. But at the end of the day, you're doing the right thing by making a priority out of your health. It's just like I always bring it back to exercise. It's not easy to lose weight. If you do it by eating right and working out, it might take you a year to really get where you want to be. It takes a process and it's the same choices on a consistent basis that gets you anywhere in life. Anything worth having takes time. Let's be honest with it. Anything worth having in your life takes time. It takes 9 months to have a baby. It takes time to get to know somebody. It takes a lot of time to get the job and career you want. It takes a long time to heal. That stuff takes time. So why are we rushing? Because I know we want to feel better, but that's where you have to start learning how to do your day-to-day correctly. Your day-to-day needs to be little tiny baby steps until your bigger goals. You know, I don't know how else to say it other than I think people forget one major thing is there's no magic pill here. There's no magic pill. There's no magic way to do it. Forgiveness is not something you just drop forever. And I think God even understands that. But it doesn't serve you anything. And I think that's what God cares about the most. I think it's what you should care about the most too. It's not, do you want to be healed? Do you want to feel better? Or do you like the hole you've dug in and you're like, oh, it's nice down here. I'm used to this. It is comfortable. People get comfortable to that. That's the point. You have to learn what is your life valuable to you and what's going to happen next. And this is the same thing for you. Let it go. Be like Elsa. Let it go. And I mean that because there's nothing in your life that is going to keep you back more than trying to go back with new perspective and say, I could have done this. You don't have the time stone. So let it go. It's not going to change. You're not going to be able to change that. The most important thing in your life right now is how you live today. And that's all that's going to happen. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, the hardest part was going back into these places and hearing how Chad and Laura, how bad it was. You know, that was rough. That was rough. You even had this? This is Fairlife protein. It tastes like a milkshake. It doesn't even feel fair. 42 grams of protein. Trying to keep it light here. It's a hard subject, but it's the truth. But when I heard the details, most people don't really get a play-by-play on like stuff that happens to them, because it usually just happens in real life. So there's not like a paper trail or a video or something like a case. Most people don't have cases with somebody who does something towards them, because forgiveness, again, applies to everybody in every situation. But to really see how people were moving in that time, it's not easy. It makes you question everything. Makes you question why this is able to happen. How are they allowed to plan this out and not get struck by lightning? Like, what happened? What is going on right now? And that's a hard place to get to. How do you comprehend it? So you just do the best you can to comprehend it. And then from that point, you got to make different things. I think that's a great point. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. For me, I never blamed God, simply because from my personal perspective, I know God allows things to happen, and it's just it just is the worst thing. And again, I'm not trying to tell you how to feel or anything. And I'm so sorry that happened. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I can't imagine the pain of that. So I want you to know I'm not trying to be hard or not. I just want to acknowledge you first. But I will say that there's a lot of pain and hurt. And when we don't know what to do with it, our first question and thought is, why did you let this happen, God? How could you allow this kind of thing to happen? How did you allow this evil to exist? And how did you allow this circumstance to happen? And why would you allow me to go through this stuff? You know I can't handle this. Why are you allowing this whole thing to happen? And you see all of this pain and you see all these things. And then later down the road, somehow, some way, if you're really starting to heal, something about it will just start to not make sense, but give you clarity. So this happened and it can't change. So where I am now is a product of my trauma in my life all to this point. What I do here, because this is where I am today. This is point zero, whatever, wherever you are, this is it. You're here. And so the reality becomes, instead of blaming, I just need to accept, and that's going to hurt. And it's going to just rip my heart out. And accepting that something can happen like that, it's hard. I don't even know. What else do you say? It's, how do you accept it? That's the hardest part. It's acceptance. That's the first step, and it's always the hardest step to it. And you've ever seen grief, stages of grief, it comes into this place of like, it plays this whole, there's no way to do it. There's no book on this. You don't know how you're going to feel moment to moment. You could be sad and crying, then you're pissed more than you've ever been pissed. Then you go back to grieving, and then you're questioning life. And then you don't want to be here anymore because you don't have the will anymore. I mean, it's a circus. It's a roller coaster, and it can happen at any moment, anytime. Unfortunately, riding that wave is what is necessary so you can get to a point of healing. Because again, you can't cage that stuff in. You can't ignore it, and you can't just say, okay, I'm not going to feel this. Boom, caged. All of you feelings are now in that cage, and I'm not going to unlock that door ever. That's what I tried to do. Didn't work. I felt all of that. I just was ignoring it the best I could, but I couldn't because it was hurting me. My therapist said it, and it was like our first session. She said, you have so much trauma. It's like a water behind a damn wall, and you can't just take the wall down because a part of you's trying to protect yourself. So you're subconsciously trying to protect your own well-being, even mentally. And then she's like, we're just going to let out little bits of water at a time. And that's exactly the best way to explain it, is that letting out and venting out what needs to come out and then knowing when to shut the valve. That is that's the best control you can find in your life for yourself, is where does this belong? Where does this emotion go? It's not that I'm going to control the emotion. It's how do I express this emotion now? That's the thing. We're not being taught that in the normal day to day, because we're acting like emotions are not the most important, like one of the most important things to understand. That's just, I don't know what that is about, but it's happening. So I think it's just like everybody goes through different stages at different times, and it could be years down the line. It's not linear. All of a sudden you went from anger to back to anger later, years later. There's no way to clock how this is going to work. It just happens. And the thing is, you have to understand that there is a future for you, and you need to know that no matter how old you are or young you are, it doesn't matter. You still have a future. And when these things happen, it does change your life forever. And it's okay to acknowledge that your life won't be the same. And that part is also hard to accept. And then I think more than anything, you just miss the people you love. You don't want to be away from them. And you feel like you are robbed of the life you were supposed to have, that they were supposed to have. You lose so much in once. And that's just so hard to freaking deal with. It really is. And I don't know how else to say it other than, it's going to sound really cliche, but you're going to be okay if you do the things you need to do for yourself. You got to put your oxygen mask on and take care of yourself. It's not your fault. You didn't make it happen. And I'm going to say it too. It's not God's fault. God did not want to hurt you and punish you. That's just not how it works. He allows things. I don't know why, but he's God and I'm not. So that's not even in my pay grade. I couldn't answer those questions. I tried to tell people that all the time. I don't want to ever try to speak for God. It's not my place. He allows things that I can't even imagine on this earth. Sometimes you see things that are so evil and you're like, how is this? How can we allow this? How can this be allowed? And then you realize God uses everything for his good. And at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know how else to say it, but at some point, there can be a perspective that you can have in your healing that can help other people. And maybe that's all that comes out of some of this stuff. That's the only reason we do this channel. I hope this stuff helps you guys. I've seen a lot of comments today. You guys said this is helping you, and I'm more than grateful, because my grief has to have a good place in this world. It's just grief for grief's sake, and that's not what I want. And it's not helpful to anybody other than just life destruction. I'm not the only one that's lost someone. I'm not the only one that's lost someone to murder. I'm not the only one who's been through something similar to this. I mean, it's very unique, but it doesn't mean that the sentiment at the end of the day is the same thing. And I choose to forgive because it's the only way for me to live a life worth anything. That's it. That's the truth. I have no quality of life if I sit here for the rest of time and say, this is all Lori's fault. This is her fault. She ruined my life. She literally made everything harder for me for the rest of time. She killed my family. I no longer have a family. They don't get to have a life ever now on this earth. Like, I could just go down the list. I could go down the list and just tell you why I'm upset. And they're all pretty valid. And the truth is, my life is still my responsibility. And part of that is my healing. My healing is not going to come because I am with the right person, or someone swoops me off my feet and puts me in therapy and makes me do the work, or, one day I'm just healed, just standing there. I'm not saying God can't do amazing things, but it's not going to come unless you're willing to even get in there. And you get out of therapy what you put into it, just like anything else in life. You put in hard work, you get results. I tell people all the time, like, yeah, it's going to be hard, but do you want it or not? Because when you want something, you usually go figure out a way to get that thing. So That's how I view it. And I think it's important to understand that from the beginning. Forgiveness is a very difficult thing. It's very multi-layered. There's tons to it, but it is the biggest relief, you know? And in that video, when I made it, I honestly, I should have watched it. Um, just to kind of be able to at least speak about it. I don't remember too much about it. I was just kind of sharing my thoughts and opinions on how to forgive someone that's done something like this, even at that time, which was maybe 22. I don't know. But again, it's about you more than it's about the other person. You're the one that's in the cage of unforgiveness. You're the one that's having the harboring feelings. You're the one that's having the stresses and anxieties and the PTSD, and they're haunting you. And what they did is haunting you. The truth is there is another side of that. There is a way to get through that. It doesn't look pretty, and I don't know exactly how everyone gets there because it might take people different amount of times to get to those places. But at the end of the day, I can tell you that I can continue to choose to forgive and acknowledge how bad everything is. I never thought that was even possible, but it's true. I can genuinely say this is not my burden to hold a forgiveness or unforgiveness towards someone. This is my choice to say, you know, I'm going to let it go and I'm going to try my best to focus on we all know the day is tomorrow's going to come and it's going to bring its own set of problems. So in that time, I really shouldn't even be trying to think about everything I'm going to do tomorrow and all the problems I have to face then. It's really just about reaction. And that's all life really is. You don't get to choose the weather, what happens to you. You only get to choose what you do. Other people's actions are out of your hands. What happens to other people is out of your hands. So really, you have to learn how to let go of control. You can't control anything except yourself and your healing. And even then, that doesn't mean it's perfect. Nothing is. And I think that we've sugarcoated too much to try to make people think that there's some kind of magic pill in life to do everything for you. That doesn't exist. And it's okay. That's a great thing because it means you have to spend the time to do it. And I want people to be out of their pain because they face their pain. And it's just, I don't know, man. How else do you get out of it? You just can't. And there's no judgment here for me saying, oh, well, you need to forgive. I'm not here to preach at you. I'm telling you that the forgiveness is going to help you for you. That's it. And no matter what people say, oh, well, how could you possibly forgive them for this? I'm like, it's for me. I'm letting it go because it's not my place. I can't go get the justice for it. I can't fix it. It's not something I can go put time into and do all this work on it and fix it and do this and that. The reality is things happen and you have to be able to live a life after. What does your life look like after? You're still a person. So this is what I want to say too. You are not a product of trauma. You are still a person. You have a personality. God made you very specifically. You are one of one, not one in a million, this and that. You're one of one, and there's no one like you in the world. The problem that we have is that there's too much going on in the world trying to sell you this idea. Just like getting in shape. Oh, I take this and I get in shape, or I take this, I lose all this weight. Maybe that stuff happens, but it's the shortcut and it's not the right way to do it. And it might have really bad consequences. So again, all of this stuff comes down to you deserve to have a good life. And what a good life looks like is not a perfect life. And it's not a life of no trouble. And this isn't heaven yet. We're not in heaven. We're on earth. And guess what? It's going to suck. Life is going to throw more curveballs your way. And like the anxiety of that coming up and people struggling with all that, I get that. It's scary to have to know that you're going to have to suffer sometimes. But there is no good without suffering. There is no bad without good. And you can do the best thing for yourself by taking care of yourself. You have that ability to do that. You just have to be vulnerable enough to actually go and understand yourself. And I'm like thinking on myself the other day, we were talking about school, right? Like 2 days ago. But like this isn't even being taught. as a general thing, like how to be a human should be a freaking course on just at least understanding. Like there's so many times I learn things on social media and I'm like, oh, people feel that way too. People think that way too. People do this too. It's like you just feel like an alien until you realize that other people do the same things you do and have very similar opinions as you, and all they had to do was voice it. That's the big point. But I can't let, you know, Chad and Lori and Alex and that group run my life. And I did. It ran my life for a long time. It ran my life for a very long time. And so what do you do with that? It did. It ran my life. It ran everything I thought of. I was constantly struggling mentally, just trying to like, it's just on my mind all the time. I dreamed it. I woke up in it. I thought about it all the time, thought about it all day. And it never changed. Nothing ever changed. The information was still the information. Life was still happening. And I had to figure out a way to navigate that. And I will say, you know, until I got to where I am now, I really had no drive in me anymore. And I was weird. I remember thinking to myself, I have such a fire and a passion for life and doing things. And I didn't even have that. It was just stripped out of my body. I had nothing to give anybody. And so I think that was what, you know, once I started taking the steps, doing therapy, facing it, going through it, it wasn't as scary as I thought, but it feels like a lot to go to therapy right now and be like, I'm going to face my demons. And then you're like, highest level demons. Like, no, just slow down. You don't have to do it all in one day. It's a process. You just start at the, like any other thing you do, you start at the very beginning with just the thought that I want to do this. And I recommend therapy to people all the time because I grew up in therapy and I hated it. I hated it. I hated talking to people, them trying to find tactics of way to talk to me. Even when I was young, I was like, just level with me. Please stop try to sit here and pander to me as a child. Like I was very a hyper aware kid. So it's like, just talk to me normal. And they were trying to like come up with tactics, like pure play with toys. Like, you know how Toby and Michael Scott, if you've ever seen The Office, there's an episode where Toby has to do therapy with Michael because of something he did. And Michael hates Toby with all his heart. And Toby finally gets through to Michael by doing tactics that he would do on a kid by having him draw and then having conversations about like the drawings. It was so funny. But it's how it is. Like most times it's kind of like this, you need to find a way to open up. And that's kind of what happens. It's like when someone else is thinking about something else, they'll usually start kind of connecting with you because they're focused. So like, that's just what it is. Yeah. I don't know what it was. I've always kind of been that way. I don't like to pretend that I don't have an awareness. Like, what am I supposed to do for your sake? Like, I have to pretend that I don't want to just like get to the chase. So I found a great therapist that works for me. And that's the whole point is you do have to create a relationship there. There has to be something there that gives you the vulnerability to share. But you can really get that from any kind of therapist if you're willing to open up. And sometimes you need help, but that's their job at that point. So really you just have to show up. And then if you feel like it's not really working for you, it's okay to look for another therapist. It's okay to kind of, I guess, I don't want to say shop around, but just kind of like find someone that you trust and create a relationship with, and it goes from there. But it's still a process. It's not like I'm on the other side being like, hey guys, come over to healing. It's like, no, I'm still doing it. I still have to heal. I'm still working on that crap, and it's not over. And so it's not something that I just feel like is just going to be perfect one day. I don't expect a gift at the end of it and a perfectly wrapped Colby, but I've never grown more. I've never been more self-aware. I've never been able to compartmentalize like this. I see myself and I have a level of love and confidence for myself that didn't exist. I didn't love myself at all. And I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't grow up being loved the way you're supposed to. And so I didn't know how to do that. And again, that's where a lot of the unforgiveness in my life came from, is I felt guilty. I couldn't forgive myself for stopping to talk to Charles. I couldn't forgive myself for that. I couldn't forgive myself for not protecting my siblings. You know, I would still dream this torturous dreams all the time about trying to protect Tylee and JJ. They're right next to me. And, you know, I'm like, no, Lori's going to do something. So I'm like trying to stop her. Like I still have these dreams that just feel like, you know, you didn't save them. You didn't protect them. You didn't do this. And again, I didn't have that option. I didn't have an option to save them. I didn't even know that their life was in danger. I didn't know anybody's life was in danger. So how can you save someone in a scenario where you didn't know what was going on, but yet because now you know later on in life what the details are, you wish you could have, and then you blame yourself for I wish I could have. How? How could I have? Like realistically, it doesn't make any sense, but that's what people do every day is like you're just so caught up in the what if this would have been different. If I could have made this happen, if I could change this, you can't. You can't change a thing, but you can change what you do next. That's why the past is not insignificant, but it is not as it's not as prevalent as you think. It doesn't have to run your life. Yes, I talk about the case here. Yes, I know that I'm talking about my family. And some people come in and say, move on. I have. But I know that this is going to help other people to understand the context of certain things. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to walk off in this live and be emotionally wrecked for the rest of the day like I was all the other times. I couldn't even bring it up. I couldn't talk about any of this because it hurt too much to even mention, and I would just be down and it just would just be too hard to get through. Therapy sessions used to wipe me out. Like just 1 hour and I'm done, cooked, done, days over. 100%. 100% I've had guilt of being the only survivor. I can't express what that feels like. How do you get to live and everybody else gets killed? It's just you didn't get killed. Just you by yourself. Of course I felt guilty. I thought, why do I deserve to live? I don't. I wish I could have taken my siblings' places, but I can't. And now I have my own kids that need me, and they need a healthy dad. And that's a huge motivating factor, of course. I'm not going to lie. But I don't just do it for my kids. I do it because it's important to be able to function as a human. And then if I do my best to give my best, they get the best of me. Not perfect, not every day sunshine and rainbows. Not every day I'm just like this perfect dad that just never misses. I miss every day. That's the point though. It's like that part of your healing really allows you to show up and be present and really be there rather than just trying to continue to live the way you are and being bogged down and bogged down and bogged down. But yeah, 100% I had survivor's guilt. And I just finally learned it's like, it's not my fault that I'm alive. I did not choose to live and I did not choose to die. And it sucks because now you see the context. But I am here. And so if I'm here, then you best believe I'm going to do something positive. You best believe I'm going to try to help other people because that is a purpose that I feel that I have been given. And now that I have the perspective I have, what else would I have this for? Not just to be just for me, but to help other people. Because I was the opposite of what I am now. I was the 180. I was the kid with anxiety before all this happened. I had a lot of trauma before this happened. My life was not a walk in the park up until Lori did all this stuff. My life was hard before that. This just intensified it all. So I had to deal with a lifetime worth of crap. And I'm still doing it in therapy. And I'm still tackling crap from when I was a kid and when I was a teenager. Those times, though, are when you bring it up and you deal with it. And then after, you try to continue to live back in the moment, reroute yourself, and just learn as you go. Nobody's got this thing figured out. And if they say they do, they're lying. They are lying to you. That's all that matters, man, is today. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not guaranteed the next 20 minutes. So your time is important. You want me to tell you why? Forgiveness is unforgiveness is a poison. You can move on the best you possibly can. I promise you, you will come back to it one day. It will haunt you. It hurts so bad, and then you move on like it never happened. And I'm not saying it's exactly what you mean, But that's what forgiveness is allowed to do, is acknowledgement in full, move through that process of the pain you experienced, and try to keep letting it go. When it comes up, acknowledge that you're upset, let yourself be angry, let yourself be sad, let yourself feel it, and then go back to, no, I'm better now, and I'm not going to let this ruin my life. So it's all about giving yourself room. I tried to erase everything. And the thing this is a hard thing. I was at a point when I was dealing with that whole Christian lady that I told you guys about in the other video. She was like really talking about like attachments and things like that. And I unfollowed Tylee on Instagram because I thought that following her was going to keep me from moving on if I have to even know she's there. And I'm following her, and she has a private account, by the way, so you can't refollow her. And I just made a snap decision, like, I'm going to erase this. I'm just erasing everything to do with Lori and Chad and Alex and Tylee and JJ and Charles. I'm not even going to acknowledge it because it's just too painful. I can't even think about it anymore. It's killing me. I've got to let it go. So I just have to just like move on. I thought that was the best move at the time. Just let it go because it's killing me. And it didn't go away. It never went away. It just bogged me down for years. And then I figured it out that I can't erase it. It happened. It hurts. So erasing it really doesn't exist. It just means you don't live in it. That's the difference. Erasing it means it never happened. You draw a picture on a page and erase it, and it's gone. You draw something new. Life's a little different than that. We get scars and we get little nicks and bruises, and then you have the big stuff that really leaves a scar. And you can't get rid of your scars. They're just there. They're part of you. And so that's kind of the point. It's kind of a duality. Embrace what's happened to you by trying to live your best life, and you don't have to live in that. I don't have to think about the fact that I got hit by a car every day, and every time I put on a tank top, you see all the scars down my shoulder from getting hit by a car. You know, that doesn't help me to just always think, oh my gosh, you were hit by a car, or every day think about those things, because again, those scars physically remind me that I got hit by a car, and it messed up this shoulder, and this shoulder looks a lot different than this shoulder, and I could have died right then and there. So obviously I didn't. And so my point I'm trying to make is erasing stuff doesn't really necessarily exist. What happens is you acknowledge it. You have to go through the storm to get out. It sucks. It sucks. Yeah, well, I took it to an extreme. I totally get what you're saying, but I took it to an extreme. I didn't want to feel the pain anymore at all. Not another second of it. So I tried to just not think about anybody. And I didn't want to look at their pictures anymore. I wanted to be out of it. I literally it felt so devastating that even looking at my siblings was too hard. I couldn't look at their pictures without just falling into hurt and pain. So that's just, it's a hard thing to do, but it's worth it. And if you face it and you deal with it, I promise you can I promise you there is a life after, and it might take you years to get there, but it's worth all the steps. It's worth all the steps, no matter what age you are. It doesn't matter. I don't care how long you've been alive or not. It only matters what you do from today. And then the next steps are, I got to take care of myself as well. And I'm really bad about that too. I don't like to take care of myself. I have to force myself to take care of myself. And yeah, it's okay. It's just a brick by brick, man. It's all it is. It's just a slow process, brick by brick. And it's worth it. It's worth it. And you will get to a different place, and you will have ups and downs. And one day you'll be really ahead, and one day you'll be really behind. And it doesn't mean you're winning or losing. You're just living what life is. That's what life is. It's ups and downs all the time. Nothing works out perfectly, and you do your best to move forward. And you have to have some kind of faith. You do. You have to have hope. That's the only thing that fuels anything is hope. I don't know. If I didn't have any hope, I'd be gone because I was already there. I was already hopeless completely. So if I had zero concept of hope, I would be wrecked. You know what I mean? I would be, I don't even know. I don't even want to think about it. But I've been in the lowest of lows and I've been at the highest of highs. And I can honestly say without accepting where I've been and then trying to still move on, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I couldn't help anybody because I'd still be in it. You know what I mean? So because of the perspective I have now, I can help people because it would be pretty contradictory for me to try to say you should heal and then I'm just over here not really doing the work to heal. That's I guess how I see it. And my whole point is like it's so important to keep hope. And the hope is too not only just in God and in Jesus, but also hope that you know what you're doing is going to work. It is. Doing work on yourself is going to work. It's just like, oh my gosh, I can't tell you why exercise for me is such an analogy to life. But when you first start working out, you never look or feel as good as you want to. You're like, I just want results. I just want to get in good shape. I just want to feel good. I just want this. And it's hard. And you know, you work out for 3 months, you might not even be where you want to be. You do another 3 months, you're finally starting to see some real change. And you're like, it just becomes so gratifying. It's so gratifying. And then you get down maybe 9 months and you might be almost where you want to be. And all of a sudden it just like picks up because now you're seeing the results and it motivates you and it keeps you going. It's hard to get that mentally, but when you really understand what you're doing is you're making progress. Just keep showing up. That's what they say about the gym. The hardest part about going to the gym is just showing up for people. It's the first step. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you about healing. Acceptance is the hardest thing. It really is. It's hard to accept your life for what it is and just say, I am here. This is where I am, and this isn't going to change just because I plug my ears and close my eyes and sing Drake. I'm still going to be right here when I open my eyes. So delusions aren't going to fix anything. Pretending that it didn't happen isn't going to fix anything. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to continually move on and do what you can to focus on your health and your mental health and put the time into yourself. That's all you have. Put the time into yourself and focus on what's important, which is you. And then everything else that you do, when you fix yourself, you're going to help others because you're creating an example. And that goes for your kids, that goes for whoever, your spouse, whoever. Whatever you're doing for you is ultimately a benefit to others. And that's what I mean, like with bitterness and all those kinds of things. You don't realize how much that actually affects you as a person. And it starts to really seep into your everyday life. So that's what's hard. It will affect you long term. And there's no way to constantly, there's no way to ignore it. Just put it out there. No way to ignore it. It's going to happen. Best way I could possibly give you is forgive yourself, forgive others, and try to move on. Best way to do it is just sit with it, journal it, work it out as you walk, whatever you need to do to actually get to that place. I encourage you to do it because it's going to be better for you overall. I promise. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and that's the point. Sometimes you do it for survival. Sometimes you do have to move something out of the way so you can just survive. That's our main thing we're trying to do. We're all trying to survive. But you can only do that for so long, trust me. I learned my lesson. I tried. I was going to live the rest of my life free of this case. I was never going to talk about it. I told them I would come testify for my brother and my sister. That's it. That's it. That's all I was willing to do is help in the cases for my part. And then I was done. I was like, yeah, not ever going to talk about this. I don't want to talk about it. But the best thing I ever did was face it, all of it. Just face it. And that's exactly why I am sitting here today telling you that you can do it. It's possible. It's not impossible. And one day at a time, and you will get there. I absolutely promise you will get there. Just be patient with yourself. And I love you guys. That's all I got to say today. I appreciate you and love you. We're going to be back tomorrow with a new video. I got a lot of stuff coming up. I told the members we have an announcement for tomorrow for members. So you'll see that. Yeah, I'm excited to let you guys know what's going on. It's been a process to get to where we are today too, even on this channel and with this community. So I'm grateful for that. But I got some really exciting and then some crazy stuff, I guess, want to call it that, coming up. And I've been waiting to do some of these things too. So I'll explain it tomorrow. I promise. I love you guys. And yeah, members, be looking out for a video before the live tomorrow. And yeah, we got some other good stuff. But today, just take some time to yourself, love yourself. And yeah, man, you deserve to have a healed life. You do. You deserve it. So just believe that. And I love you guys. And I'll see you next time.